Sheni v'Chamishi. This is the street right here where the Satmar Rebbe would walk during the winter, January. They can't come here in 114 because it's very heavy heat and they can't wear long black coats. Anyway, even the most frumma person has to give way. So the Nakuda is, I was watching the Mendy Pellin shmuzelive. Wonderful. The comedy's funny and I'm enjoying it. And then I saw, wait a minute, let me go on the website, you know. Everybody goes on Instagram and they watch things for 2 minutes. Why don't I go on the proper... The Sheni v'Chamishi, I'll carry my skateboard. So a quick story. I saw these skateboarders at the park. It's a beautiful example about living frum with laws and rituals, and living secular Judaism, which is there's no laws and rituals, but you celebrate and honor Judaism. You celebrate Shabbos, but without the laws. You do it your way. So Simon Jacobson in the Week in Review was explaining in one letter. I used to read this when I was younger. It was the only access to real literature that I had. I'm sure other families in Crown Heights had much better access, but I didn't. And wink wink, probably 80% didn't. It's not rocket science. You can figure it out by asking people questions and seeing how their logic system works and their rational framework, and you'll realize they also didn't have access. So I was reading this nice letter he was writing about the difference between a laser light and a flashlight. And he said the frum person is limited. It's not like the flashlight. You can't shine light on everything. You can't use a laser light to find your keys at night. But the laser light has a power to go further. So maybe he meant that being frum is endurance. Endurance of what? Endurance of tradition and rituals. So v'chayzer adin, what is it all about anyway? But so that was the beautiful example that Simon Jacobson wrote in his Week in Review. I don't know, maybe Alexander Brodsky wrote it, and maybe it was someone else, but it doesn't matter. It was published by him, and it's nice. But again, what is the Haredi boy who's been unfortunate that his parents didn't understand what his mashpia was telling him, that he lived a very limited life, living like a child without any rational distinction, to be mavchen ben yom u'ben leila, to be able to solve a problem, to be able to realize that there is a problem and there is a solution, and to take responsibility. So the mashpia told him, do A, B, and C. Go on the street corner and yell whatever, Shabbos, or yell that the Rebbe is Mashiach, or yell that the Rebbe is the Nasi Ador, or try to influence people that the Rebbe is special because he's the 7th Rebbe, you know what I mean? The 3rd Chabad Rebbe, but the 7th Rebbe, college educated, must be special, right? So that's one example, the laser light and the flashlight. And then I was watching the skateboarders and I asked the guy, you use a longboard? Because I love a longboard. I get on the longboard, I stand on the longboard, and it goes straight. You see what I'm doing here? And this is a shortboard. And this is the first time I'm using this, what it's called, I don't know if it's called a shortboard, but it's a proper skateboard with the whole thing. And I'm on it and I realized that I have much more liberty than the longboard. The longboard, you stand on it, you kick, and you could turn a little bit, but this thing you can turn within 10 inches, you can make a turn. The longboard, you can make a turn, but you need a lot of space. So I reminded myself, wow, this is another example of the idea of this woman asking a rabbi about what does it mean being frum, and why should I assume upon myself all these laws? So I said, what? So I asked the boy, do you ride a longboard? And these were the professionals. They take these boards, the tiny wheels on it, if you realize, every time you run over a bump, the wheel makes noise. Back, 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 back. So they ride on a very fine surface, and they make moves, and you watch on YouTube, you see them doing amazing stunts. Some of these guys become professionals. So I asked the boy, do you ride a longboard? And he said, life is too short to ride a longboard. And I never forgot what he said to me. But I didn't understand it. I heard it, I remember it, but I don't understand. What do you mean life is too short to ride a longboard? So much noise. Anyway, so now I understood what he meant, because I was out riding the board and I realized that you have so much liberty to move yamina, smaller, right, left. I was speaking to a young Chabad shliach, he's younger than me, about a local Orthodox rabbi, a musmach from Lakewood, a real good guy. But he's single, he's not married, so I told him, all these girls, they like you. They like you. Some of them are Jewish, some of them are not, but they all come to shul. And I'm explaining to the rabbi that, I don't know if you realize it, but the girl is flirting with you. She's telling you how funny you are. Either she wants to be your friend, or it's Kodesh Kodashim, it's going to be the best, As Shidduchim says, let us fill the night with love till the morning. So I'm explaining to Rabbi, number one, she's flirting with you. Number two, al pitaita, there's no problem. Doesn't matter if the thing lasts for a month. Sometimes people travel. What if the girl's a flake? What if she's not? What if she's looking for a job? You don't promise her, and she doesn't promise you. But right now, what are you going to do? So I'm explaining to the Chabadsker what I'm trying to help this regular Oilamish Shomer Torah mitzvahs, that he had kids, he was married, and it didn't last forever. He's single, and there's no sin in that. So he says to me, no, you are always looking for the side, today here and today there. Which was, I didn't think that was correct. It was his hashkafa, but it was not correct. Because if a lady from Belgium, Almona, wants to marry him, and there's a beautiful shidduch about to happen, I don't think he's going to be draining sich in these beautiful opportunities, right? But I'm explaining to the Rav that if you live a little, there's no Aveda. So Jacobson on the shmuzelive, it was beautiful show, it was beautiful comedy, but then they had a rabbi, and the rabbi is supposed to be, at least I'm looking at him like an academic, like he's giving good information, and he speaks about the Gemara Tainis. And he says that when they go, so Mendy Pellin says that they went into the fields. And they met. So he says, these are not the ones that were arranged shidduchim. And he's right. Arranged shidduchim are between families, and those are business deals. It's called The Game of Marriage, written by Will Eisner, the comic. Will Eisner, check it up. The Game of Marriage, about the big Ashkenazi families marrying into each other in Manhattan, New York, in the 19th century. Things like that. It was all for, and those marriages were not beautiful, those arranged ones. They were not. It could happen anecdotally that an arranged marriage is also romantic and loving, and it could also happen that the shidduch is both two airheads, dodo heads, that don't even know what love is. And if they're happy, you can't say nothing. If they're happy, you have nothing to say to them. You go, oh, you guys are stupid? Yeah, we're stupid, but we're happy. You don't like it? Too bad. So, but those are arranged. Those are not, those are like the longboard. You get on, and you kick, you keep going, Like, we don't know if Edgar Bronfman or Jared Kushner are real good businessmen, because they're born into money. So we don't know if they're really making money or they're losing. We don't know if he's kicking like the longboard. He doesn't know how to maneuver. He doesn't know how to do stuff. We don't know if they're smart people. The test hasn't been tested yet. And the poor people, a lot of poor people are denied opportunity, so we don't know if they're stupid just because they're poor. But anyway, so Simmons says, it's not that there was a hole that the Chazal or the time allowed for a frivolous, and this is a very important nekuda. This is the main part of the video. The same guy that made noise. we don't know if all this, so Yossi's saying that the people who dressed up, the girls dressing up in white, and they went into the fields, and the girls were saying the pasuk, so he was saying, look, these were serious girls quoting psukim. First of all, that's not true. That's not historically true. It's a guy was writing a story, and the idiot that was writing the story was writing a bunch of psukim that all these girls were saying. How's that even possible? So the guy wrote in the Gemara Tainus, he wrote a nice story about what the poor girls were saying, what the beautiful, what the not so beautiful, what the rich girl, what the yichus girls were saying. The woman is for children, the other one said the woman is for beauty, and then the one said do it for l'shem shamayim, just do it for the sake of God, do it for the mitzvah. So historically it's not true, it's just it's the writing of Chazal, it's rabbinic literature. How to understand rabbinic literature, go on YouTube and write Christine Hayes Tikva Fund. She does a beautiful explaining how when we write that Moshe Rabbeinu went up in Shamayim and to get the Torah, how they explain it. This is not a historic event. It's not like a rabbi saw it and wrote about it, or Moshe Rabbeinu came back and claimed to have had this encounter with angels and God to get the Torah, because Moshe Rabbeinu never made that claim in his lifetime. This is writing. This is rabbinic writing. So what Yossi's saying very clearly, because Yossi's like a Maggid, and on one hand he's like the Rambam. On one hand he's not secular. You can't trust him to knock sense into a friend's head.